I'm just kind of a hurricane of a person sometimes. Hey you guys, welcome back. My name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Well Love Knits, and this week I feel productive. So I'm ready to have a productive week this week, and in particular I have some things on my crafting to-do list that I really want to get done, some things that will help me get started on new projects, and just some things that I kind of have been putting off for a little while that should really be checked off the list. So I typed up exactly what I wanted to do, and throughout the entire week I'm going to slowly check everything off this list. And I want to take you guys along with me because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to use you to keep me accountable to make sure that I actually get everything done. And hopefully in return, you guys will get some extra motivation, maybe some inspiration to tackle whatever you have been putting off crafting wise, and we can just feel so much better. So it's a little bit later in the week. I've already done quite a few things, so let's go back in time to Sunday when this all got started. One down, one more to go. Because what I want to do is actually hold these two double for my next project, because this is, I've shared this before in my, one of my knitting podcast episodes, just after I returned from the US, because that's where I got it. And just to remind us, this is 100% superwash merino wool. It took me a while to figure that out. And then it recommends 2.75 millimeter needles. And I don't really want to do a project on 2.75 millimeter needles. I would like something a little bit thicker, needles size a little bit thicker. So I'm thinking if I hold these two together, I might be able to get away with 4 millimeter needles. Which would be a really cute, like, I hope I would also have enough. I'm thinking the Colette tee by Witra Design. And I mean, it could work really well. So, I mean, we're coming to the end of October. Today is literally the last day of October. But this is still a great color palette for November and December. So especially during Christmas, I hope I will be able to finish it by then. So then I could wear it as like a little bit of a festive Christmas sweater. But I think normally I don't like to gravitate towards reddish tones because of my hair. And it's just a very bold color. But I don't know, there's something about this these skeins right here that just really, I was really gravitating towards them. So I'm excited to work something up in something that's not my normal color scheme. So that means I need to cake up this second one as well. And then I can be able to make a swatch, see if that needle size will work out for me. Normally I don't knit a swatch, but since I'm not sure how this would work up double, and this is just a weight of yarn that I'm not normally used to, I figure it's probably best to be on the safe side with that. It was really hard at the very start with the first skein to like wind it up properly. I think this one is definitely going to be much smoother. I'm going to cut off this little ball as well. And then bring this over here. I think you can see everything just fine. So if you've never done this before, which I haven't done it too many times, so I'm not an expert, but with this little cake winder right here, you have to feed your strand through this little thing like that. And then this just kind of feeds it through, make sure that nothing gets like tangled. And then I also use my hand to hold it right here so that this doesn't experience too much pressure, because I noticed that it can move around very easily. And then there's like a little opening right here where you can feed your yarn through. And I do that like that, making sure to have a bit of a tail. Then I start it like that and wind counterclockwise. Very easy. I really, really like this. These both are from Knit Pro, and I really like both of these tools because they're made out of wood. They're very sturdy. So this is the first and only cake winder and Swift that I have, but I have watched other people wind up hanks with plastic, and I just noticed, to me, it looked like it wasn't as sturdy, and this, in comparison, it doesn't move around a lot. It's very, sturdy. So it feels like it can handle a lot, and I'm not too worried. And the only thing that I really am worried about is, again, this thing right here. And it only just moves around slightly. So I would really recommend these products. It was a bit of an investment, but I figured that these would be the only ones I want to purchase in my knitting lifetime. So I'm really hoping that they will hold out. And since I don't use too many hanks at the moment, I'm starting to a lot. You know, I work with all kinds of different yarns, so I feel like they won't wear down too quickly. That's the hope, at least. So after wearing this piece around on Sunday, it's unblocked. I wanted to give it a wash to see if that would help with the length, especially. I explained this last week, that it's just a little too short for what I want, so Tuesday was dedicated to blocking this knit. So here is a little update on the knits that I washed yesterday. During winter, it is so difficult to let anything dry on time. So I plugged in a little heater. And yeah, this is basically what I do. I don't really like to stretch out my knits. Yeah, I don't want them to stretch out in weird ways. So I kind of just use towels and put them here. Normally I put them in my bathroom on a tiled surface so that I don't get anything wet, but this is a warmer place in the house than my bathroom and less damp. So I figured it was a better place this time. So hopefully they will dry pretty quickly. All right, you guys. It's getting later in the week, so I really need to pick up the pace on getting some of these things done. The one that I've been putting off the most that is much, much needed is tidying up my workspace. So we're going to do that today. Basically, at the beginning of this week, I did a knitting podcast episode, and every time I do a knitting podcast episode, my workspace is just in shambles. I just throw things everywhere. Well, you know, I have to grab everything that I have and bring it all here so that I can show it to you guys. And I'm just kind of a hurricane of a person sometimes. So I need to collect everything, put them in its right place, and also what I really want to do is go through my stash and see if there's any yarn that I would like to get rid of to donate. There is like this after school program that I've seen around my neighborhood, and I think that they do a lot of crafty things, so potentially I could donate there. And then there are some special items like surplus skeins from projects that I think people might be interested in, so I'm gonna save those for like an Instagram stories sale. Yeah, so I'll take some pictures of those too probably, but first let's get everything clean, and then let's go through the stash.
You're in focus.
Thank you. I'm ready to finish off this week by curling up on the couch with a new knitting project. So that means I need to get this piece in a place where I can start working on it again. So I went through and put in a lifeline as best as I could all along my whip. And I even, so this is where it was having an issue. So the reason that I'm doing this is I skipped, or I missed a stitch, an increase rather, right about here. So I marked it off with a stitch marker. And it's just making, the pattern is off. So, yeah. So you can see that right underneath, the moss stitch pattern is a little weird, so let's try and... I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of difficult to tell if you're not familiar at looking at moss stitch, but basically there are 3 knit stitches where there should be 1 purl stitch. So like right here, it should be a purl stitch. So I went back 9 rows, so I'll have to rip back that many, more or less. I think for right now, I'm going to continue as it is and just fix that one spot. and just keep working as I was going to before instead of ripping back the whole thing. I think that's the best plan because I'm happy with how it's working up. And you know, the collar, a lot of you even said that maybe after I block it, it might finish, or it might stretch out and have a better finish to it, which I'm really hoping you're right. So I'm gonna try that first, and then I can always, you know, try and doctor it after if the whole cardigan's done and I notice that I wanna go back there. But speaking of blocking, my piece is dry. My vest here, it's more like a t-shirt because the way that it's sitting now, it has a better drape along the shoulders. So it still is very cropped, but it's sitting very nicely and the color maintained quite well. I did notice that the bath turned a little yellow and green, and I think some green bled across the piece, so it's a little bit more just greeny in general. I don't know if you can really tell. But the color has stayed very nicely, so that's great. I was a little worried that it was gonna dull out after watching, but that's not the case. So yeah, a very productive week. Everything is in place. I just need to take out this string that was holding all my live stitches. That's not important anymore. Woohoo! All right, let's do it. Well, that was not as satisfying as I was hoping it would be because this, what is it called? The fuzzy yarn by We Are Knitters is kind of, it can get tangled just like mohair can, so I ripped back to where I wanted. I also didn't do my lifeline very well. It was crooked, so it's an uneven pickup. I think this half was on another row than the other side, so that's okay. But now I'm in a place where I can start back from, well, not from scratch, but from a better place and not have any missed stitches, you know? So yeah, now this is definitely in a place where I can get started on it again this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and go do that. So I'll leave you here for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this kind of format, let me know. It was certainly fun to film and it definitely provided me with the motivation that I needed to get these things done. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more knitting and DIY content like this, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye.